My colleagues and I are here today each day at Brookdale to support you in your career journey. So while you're here at Brookdale and beyond, our job and our role is to help set you up for your future professional success. So we meet with students individually, we give workshops and classes and partner with employers so that students have exposure and access to awesome companies like Dynamic and organizations. So we're so excited to be able to kick off this presentation today because it's been one that's been in the works for a full year. Some of you had planned on going to that presentation over a year ago. That was postponed, and we're here now today and couldn't be more excited. Dynamic Engineering is a local leading engineering firm that we have partnered with to present this career track to you, opportunities within their firm, and hopefully we can do a Q&A about the world of engineering and any specific questions you might have after. So just to give you a little, feedback about the format of today, the presentation should be about 45 minutes. If you have any questions along the way, I would like you to put them into the Q&A tab on your screen. I am going to, take all those questions and field them. The gentleman will field them, but we're going to hold the questions to the end. So when the questions, if you do have a question along the way, just please put it into that area so that we can record them all and make sure that all your questions are answered. So I am going to start the recording now, and without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Dynamic.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Jen and faculty, for setting this up. Like you said, it was a long time coming. COVID obviously slowed this down a little bit, but we're excited to be here. We're excited to present to you guys. What we're trying to do today is just give you a broad perspective on what our day-to-day is, what Dynamic's goals are, the different projects that we work on, the different softwares that we use, and we just want to expose that stuff to you. Civil engineering is a lot of what people don't notice. It's exciting stuff to us because we're in it, but a lot of people really just truly don't understand what goes into the type of work that we do. So what we want to do is try to relate to you guys and what it is you guys are doing in your classrooms and in your different softwares that you're using, maybe you've been introduced to, maybe maybe you don't know. We can introduce some stuff to you. But really our goal is just to give you that broad presentation and maybe, excite you guys in coming on board and having an internship opportunity with us. So right now, Steve and I are both many years experienced in what we do here. I've been doing this for 21 years, 16 of it with Dynamic.
I've been doing it for 29, 17 with Dynamic.
Yep. So we both, we're old basically, but we, with experience comes, it's really crucial in what we do. It definitely helps us share our knowledge with other individuals, newer individuals, people who are trying to kind of tap into the industry. So we thoroughly enjoy that. With that comes some certifications that we've accomplished over the years. We're both Autodesk certified. So that's standard AutoCAD certification. And then we also have Civil 3D certification. So that is our primary focus is Civil 3D. And that software. So we're both certified in that. We're also members with the Augie Group. Basically, Augie Group is a bunch of like-minded individuals that come together and discuss issues, problems. We also tend to give feedback back to the softwares. I mean, these guys are writing these programs, but we're the ones that are really in it day to day. And our feedback is crucial to the development of the software. So we participate in that. We want to make sure that Dynamic is part of the growth of all the items that we need, all the tools that we need to really advance our industry.
Dynamic Engineering offers comprehensive engineering consulting services throughout the United States of America. Dynamics portfolio has served a wide range of clientele that spans across the multitudes of industries. We work with Fortune 500 companies as well as an array of independent owners and developers of all sizes. Some of the things that we specialize in engineering and construction related services, including site engineering, land planning and design, permitting and entitlements. We cater to the demands of various Fortune 500 companies. We also have sister companies that we work with, where we have Dynamic Earth, which provides geotechnical engineering and environmental consultant services to support the commercial industry and residential development process across the US. Our technical expertise is amplified in an in-depth understanding of geotechnical and environmental challenges of the land development process. Some areas Dynamic Earth specializes in on the geotechnical side are design level geotechnical investigations, geologic hazard evaluations and mitigation, or as people refer to them as sinkholes, retaining walls and reinforced slope analysis, hydrogeological analysis and testing, construction phase testing, construction management. We also have on the environmental side where they do phase 1 site assessments, phase 2 environmental liability evaluations, remediation, mold evaluations, tank testing, wetlands, endangered species services. Survey division. Survey provides land and marine survey services throughout the United States of America. Our survey field crews use specialized tools and equipment that grab ground data and then gets transposed into CAD platforms to paint a picture of what the land looks like for engineering firms. Some of their areas of expertise are boundary and topographic surveys, construction stakeout and as-built surveys, ALTA, land title surveys, subdivision plots, wetland location plans, right-of-way and easement surveys, flood elevation certifications. And last, we have dynamic traffic, which provides transportation planning services across the US, ranging from traffic impact studies for private development clients to large-scale transportation planning services. Some areas dynamic traffic specializes with those transportation impact studies, access permitting, traffic signal design, work zone traffic control plans, parking studies.
So like I said, everything that nobody notices.
So we're gonna go back to the future here a little. The year was 2004 and 3 guys were in the basement of this house and basically we're working as dynamic engineering there for about 6 months. From there, we decided that they needed to expand and moved into a more formal office setting. And in 2001, Dynamic has grown to over 220 employees and has offices in basically the following locations. We have 4 offices in New Jersey, 3 offices in Pennsylvania, 3 offices in Texas, and 1 office in Florida. Dynamic Engineering continues to evaluate markets all across the US. This helps us with a projection of growth and basically the sky's the limit for us. We have project locations all across the US, as you can see here on this map. This is a pin of our GIS locations, basically where we are working on projects either currently or in the past. From here, these are the softwares and technologies that we use every day on a day-to-day basis as a CAD designer. The investment Dynamic makes in the software is huge. We pride ourselves in our technology and want to stay as current as we can with all software platforms so that we can be above and beyond what other corporations are using.
Yeah, a lot of these technologies are always changing, they're always advancing, and the chase just never stops. You really have to stay on top of it. Steve is not only the CAD director, but also the IT director. So it's nice having that that individual helping us out because he's always updating our software. We're always on the current version of AutoCAD, making sure that we're always up to date on that. We're always trying to integrate multiple softwares. really it's limitless in what is capable with these items, but unless you have the company that will help invest in it, and then also the people to invest their time to truly understand and then share that knowledge with the staff, it's really the only way to stay on top of things. So we pride ourselves in doing that, focusing on that, and you know, teaching as much as we can on these softwares, or having our staff participate, maybe specialized in some of these softwares. I mean, I can tell you, I personally don't know every one of these, but someone in our organization does. So we want to invest in people to have them be professionals in each one of these.
Not only with the softwares, you know, as a base package on your computers too, we also customize, especially our CAD environment, so that it works smarter with us and not harder for our employees.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a customized environment 100%.
All CAD designers basically receive on day one of their employment. We hand build all of our desktops so that they're basically virtual gaming machines, so they can produce and have the speed and processing power that anyone can need within our Civil 3D environment. We use 3 27-inch monitors, gaming mouse so that your hand's nice and comfortable, webcam and headset, you know, due to today's standards with COVID and stuff, using Teams to, you know, collaborate between other offices or even just other people in our office. We also are a large format printing and graphics shop. We have HP page-wide plotters in most of our offices. We also have Canon XL 5100s for our higher end graphic renderings that we produce for our hearings. All of our printing goes out from our offices, gets folded, set up, submitted to townships for their reviews of our plans.
So drafting guidelines, this is crucial in our entire community, communicating you know, seamlessly. Really, this is our language. This is our dynamic specific language, and we teach everybody that comes on board. There's an onboarding process when you come on to really get everybody on the same page and understanding this. We also advance this all the time. This is growing. This is part of our technology package. We want to make sure that we're always advancing, always improving, and always just making the situation better. But these guidelines really help everybody understand what the expectations are when you're within the software. When you're within a dynamic environment, you know exactly what the expectations are, and these guidelines will help you get through a project effectively and efficiently. Designer roles. So we have multiple roles, multiple platforms for all types of you know, individuals, depending on your experience. Experience is key. We start off obviously as an intern program, which is what we're trying to you know, get across today. But then, you know, there's room for advancement. Junior designers, you know, these individuals help support maybe more senior staff, make sure that you know, the plan sets are being coordinated and created properly. A CAD designer is somebody who is effective in what we do on a day-to-day with you know, less oversight, less input from different engineers. And then we have our senior designers who can really run with most packages and most projects. Now, all of these roles are specified for CAD designers. We have engineers who do participate in CAD roles and some of the CAD drawings, but really this is specific to a CAD designer. And these designers are not only going to communicate between each other to create a project and get a project done completely and effectively, they're also going to communicate with the engineering staff as well to make sure that everything is cohesive and moving forward properly. We also, outside of this is not the end of our ladder. We obviously have team leaders, we have assistant CAD managers, you know, the opportunities do continue and do expand outside of this, but these are the immediate roles that we wanted to touch on with you guys today.
So what we do, Basically, the real world definition of land development is a complex process that involves the evaluation, planning, engineering, and construction of improvements on a piece of land based on codes and regulations set by the municipality and regulatory agencies. Some of our clients come in, with a piece of land and ask, what can I build on my property? What is the land use? What are the zoning requirements for this piece of land? Is there any site constraints that's inhibiting me from having anything on here, like wetlands and stuff like that? How long is it going to take to get the approvals? I really need this building up now and want it open so I can start making money, but how quickly is it going to take to get to that point? So really what we're going to do now is walk through the site development process from the eyes of our CAD designer team here at Dynamic Engineering. So a client will come to us with a piece of property. We're going to call this an existing conditions aerial, where we're going to put a proposal together. Client's going to come in and say, hey, I have this piece of property. This is what it looks like, from the air. I'd like to do X or Y on this piece of property. For here, we're going to say we're going to want to put a fast food restaurant on the piece of property that has a drive-through on it. From here, he may have a survey that we'll use to start creating some concept work and things like that. Depending on the age of the survey, they may have to go out and get this resurveyed for our own purposes, especially if it's just dealing with a specific part of the site, as this project does. They may even come in with an existing photo showing us, hey, this is the piece of parcel that we want. And obviously you can see here, this looks like to be an old fast food restaurant that's, been abandoned for a little while, and they want to basically improve it.
So that's when our company will get involved. Is the client will come to us and start requesting what is possible, or maybe they have something in mind. Maybe they are dealing with a certain client of theirs that they want to be able to construct a building for. Really, the situations always vary. They're always different, but we're always ready to accomplish whatever task that's required. So during our process, most things are started off with a hand sketch. This hand sketch is usually done by the engineer. These engineers are really going back and forth on the phone. They'll do a hand sketch, send a PDF over to the client. Maybe they go back and forth 2 or 3 times. It's a very efficient and really cheap way to get the information across to the client in a picture form. Sometimes some of our clients are not savvy when it comes to engineering or architectural or environmental. So you have to be able to create a picture so that everybody understands that. And that's what we're doing here.
So now as a client, I have some decisions to make. As Mike said, if I get 3 different types of hand sketches on my parcel, I have to make a decision on which one I feel is going to best fit my needs for what I'm looking to accomplish. So here we'll decide on a specific hand sketch, let Dynamic know, and from there they're going to go into basically a little more robust plan with a CAD concept that will start going into some of the zoning requirements.
So in this situation, this is a finalized CAD concept for this layout. Before that, what's going to happen is individuals like ourselves are going to get that red line sketch from the engineer, and maybe there's some other alterations that the client made, or maybe there's some specific requirements as far as the zoning goes. You see these notes up on the right hand side here. Once we get this, we can start creating this document, okay? And I just want to go over some of the things that might relate to some of the CAD classes that you had, and some different terms that maybe you guys can recognize. So a lot of the notes that you see here are done in Paperspace. All right, we use Paperspace as our layout to create really the presentation view that you're seeing here. That is, a lot of this stuff is done with blocks and templates and stuff, because really you don't want to recreate all of this, right? Again, we want to be efficient, we want to be effective, and we want to be able to respond to our clients quickly. If you have to type all of these notes every time, it's going to take you a little bit. So The title block is a template. We have all types of title blocks, all different sizes, all different variations, depending on who you're submitting to, maybe the size and scale of your drawing, but they're all readily available on everyone's machine to utilize. So like I said, the notes, the title block are all done in Paperspace with a viewport that's set up for model. And then in model space, we have all of the existing conditions. It's a little rough to see here, but as we get into the full set, you'll see what the limits are. But this is basically that hand sketch recreated through CAD entities, utilizing different blocks and different geometry to create this, as well as in this case, this is a Panera. We will get an architectural plan from the architect, convert it to what we need. Their units are different than ours. We need to do a unit conversion for that. But all of these entities, again, are available to you to use. This is going to help us be effective, but also be consistent, right? We don't want somebody having their stop bar one way and somebody else having it different. We want to make sure that our product as a company is consistent throughout, not only consistent throughout this an office, but that state, and then obviously through all of our states that we're doing work. So yeah, so this is the would be a final result of that CAD concept that we saw earlier as a red line.
Just as with the hand sketch, there can be multiple concepts that get taken care of because we find different zoning restrictions or something that's going to create what's called a variance that doesn't follow what the municipal code wants, where we have to ask for forgiveness on that. So multiple concepts could be done. And once again, the client gets these presented to them and has to make a choice on which one, again, he feels is going to be the best for him. Once we know that and we have a good solid plan, we start moving forward.
So in this case, we have our TOPO. Okay, this TOPO survey was done in the portion in which we needed. You saw earlier the client had a survey of the overall site. Well, that's great, but it didn't have the fine detail we needed within the section that we were really editing everything in. So, so in this case, we subbed out the survey. This project was done a while ago before our survey department was created. So we do have some subs that we sent this out to. They went out and basically did a survey and obtained all of the existing data that's currently on site. You know, building locations, the parking location, all the horizontal constraints that you see when you're standing in a parking lot. But in addition to that, we also need to understand the vertical information. Okay, we need to understand where that building finished floor elevation is, what the parking lot is doing around it, because we're not stripping this entire site and starting fresh. We still need to understand that while we do that. But in this case, we're tying into the existing parking lot as it relates to just immediately outside the building. So this information is very crucial to make sure that our proposed design really ties in and creates a nice, neat site plan layout. So kickoffs, crucial, absolutely crucial. This is a big part of what makes or breaks a project, right? You really want to start off assembling your team. That team is really dictated by availability, who has availability on their schedule to participate, skill set, and then experience with the type of project that you're working on. So really you start off with a client manager, okay? He's really in charge to make sure that the client's needs are being met. From there, you'll have a project manager. That individual is responsible specifically for that project. Clients may have multiple projects, so you'll have one client manager overseeing multiple project managers. From there, you'll have a design engineer as well as a CAD designer. Now, depending on the size project, you may have multiple CAD designers. You may have multiple design engineers. So when you have a group of people that vary anywhere from 3 to maybe 6 or 8 individuals, you really need to all sit down and discuss what the goals are, right? My preference is always start at the end. What's our deadline? let's understand when this thing has to be out the door, and then start working backwards and see what we need from there. In this meeting, we'll all divide up the responsibilities, make sure that everybody is really clear on what is expected of them and by when, so that we can come back together in another meeting and have the information we need to start creating all of these plans. Again, I can't stress enough how crucial these meetings are, and do they happen all the time? Of course not. Everybody's moving and shaking, but I can tell you projects run much smoother when they do. So we're going to get into a standard site plan set. All right, we're going to do an overview, and again, I'm going to try to relate it to the programs that you're using and maybe some terms that you guys are used to hearing. But just to give you an overview of our site plan set is what's going to allow our clients to get the permits that they need in order to construct. Okay, you can't build without permits, right? That's the world we live in. So lucky for us, we create these documents to help our clients achieve those goals. So really, we start off with a cover sheet. Our cover sheet is the introduction into what is going to be proposed on the site. It's the location of the information, it's the block and lot, which is what every township needs to understand what piece of property that we're talking about. Starting with up top, we have the introduction of what it is, who we're doing it for, what we're actually doing, and where it's located. Then that's all again created in paper space. Then we have our viewports of our area map. We have our key map, legend or drawing index, and then again the title block, same title block that we used before, redundant information there, which we then create into an XREF. I'm not sure if you guys got into XREFs or not, but XREFs are great pieces of information because you can link different drawings together and have them update as other individuals are working on them. I could be working on one plan, save it, you update it, you get all those edits that I made. So it's a good way to collaborate as a team. And again, the rest of the items that you see here, the text, the client logo, these are all done in paper space. Then we'll move into model, because in model, we have to have everything to scale, right? Everything has to be to scale. Not only to scale, it also has to be in a coordinate system. So the only way to pull that off is to create all of your stuff in model space. So that area that you see, that property that you see, if you were actually in model space in the program, it's as big as it says it is. If it's 100 acres, you're literally looking at a 100-acre piece of information. So, but a lot of this stuff is done with images using, maybe some raster tools and stuff to create these documents that you see here. We also use GIS information. GIS information is good. It's not always available for everything, but we do try to use that as well. And you guys remember the aerial that we looked at. So we want to reuse that information in our plan set as another presentation tool, right? We're assuming that most people that are reviewing our documents are professionals. They understand what they're looking at. Not always the case, right? So doing presentations like this, this really helps everybody understand where it is we're located and the surrounding information that's around. Everybody knows Google Maps. This is basically a version of that, but within our plan set. And then it does have some due diligence information over the top of it in regards to property, zoning information, stuff like that. That real technical stuff that the technical people will understand and review. Now we want to try to do this project in phases of constructability. All right, so the first item here is a demolition plan. All right, one thing that we always have on every one of our plans are our cover our butt notes. So every plan set should have them. You want to make sure that you're clear with what your intent is to the contractor. You want to make sure they understand what our goal is for each plan, what our intent is. And these notes really help clarify that. Sometimes you need things like legends. There's a legend in this plan. Legends help clarify mass areas or lines or maybe blocks that instead of having multiple labels throughout the site, you can clear it up with a legend. Back to that title block that we talked about, XREF in here, redundant information. Then you always got to have a north arrow, and you always have to have a graphic scale. But then we'll move into model space. Again, this is all spatially aware. It's all to scale. And in here, what we're representing is the limit of our construction. We want to let the contractor know, hey, when you're demoing stuff, don't go outside this hatched area. That's a no-no. Anything outside of that, if you remove it, it's not gonna help the project in any means. So what we're saying here is just kind of cut everything at that bold line and everything inside, get rid of it so we can have a clean slate to work off of. Then we'll roll into our site plan. Basically our concept plan, but with a few extra bells and whistles on it. Some more cover your butt notes, making sure everything is clear. Some other tables for different zoning requirements. Just a couple different entities to help clarify that information. Then we'll move into model space. Model space, this is a very, very chaotic plan if you don't know what you're looking at, but all this is the surface information, right? So if you were looking at this site from above, this is everything that you would see. This is all surface data. No utilities underneath, no subsurface stuff, just straight surface material, what's there. Curb, pavement, striping, your building, all that kind of stuff. And just clarifying how a contractor might construct this site. So you have different dimensioning. It gives them control and understanding of where the building has to be located, where the curb should start and stop, what the radius of maybe a curb return should be. So it's just a very detailed piece of information for them to construct off of. Then we roll into our grading, drainage, and utility plan. This plan is usually broken out a little bit more depending on the size of the site. In this case, this was a smaller site. We can kind of combine everything together. But grading is, this is the information that helps the contractor pave or level or slope the site depending on what it is you need. We do need positive drainage. If you have a massive flood in a parking lot, somebody like us did not do a very good job. But that information helps the contractor push the water and level the site. You also need to keep into account ADA requirements. Those have to be at a certain slope. Otherwise, you're creating a safety factor there that is, it's not good for people. So we want to make sure that we have positive drainage, safety on the site. But then we also get into our subsurface information, which is our drainage and our utilities. You got to be able to have gas and water to the site, sanitary coming off the site. All that information, again, everything that's on the ground, nobody's ever going to notice that stuff. So we have to represent that, make sure that there is support for that going to the site, and make sure that it's adequate for the use of the site. Landscaping. This is, these are kind of fun because you can really get into, some stuff that maybe you can recognize a little bit quicker than you can maybe a grading and utility plan. Everybody's got some landscaping at their house or, seen landscaping at different, commercial developments and stuff. So a lot of this is up to the CAD designer. We do have a landscape architect in-house. She does a great job and is used for the very intense situations. But yeah, you can see here we utilize blocks for this. We have an entire library set up for landscaping. Again, these are great tools. If you had to draw every one of these circles, it would take you a couple days to do this and then label it. A plan like this, it's probably a 2-hour task for somebody who knows what they're doing. All utilizing the tools that Dynamic has set up over the years.
Back to the customizations, we actually have custom list routines that help assist plantings, putting the plantings in, counting the plantings, creating a chart that will really put to use what all these plants are, because some towns require you to have a certain amount of shade trees or a certain amount of types of shrubs and plantings on them.
Yeah, I mean, you have township, you have client requirements, and then you have just standard aesthetic, right? So these are all the things that we have to sift through throughout the course of a project to make sure that we're adhering to what we need. So a lot of data to sift through before we get to the point of actually creating this plan. Same thing for lighting. I mean, you can see we use the standard paper space stuff, some additional zoning, but then also here we're showing what light fixtures that we're proposing. Okay, the picture on the right is a wall sconce. These are mounted on the wall, projected out, and then the other image is a cut sheet for an area light. So we'll actually go out, find the most current fixture. Maybe the client has one in mind. Maybe the township requires something, but we'll go out and find that information and bring it into another software called AGI. That software is another modeling software, right? So we're actually modeling the light at its height, and then what's happening is that information is being projected down to the ground. And that's where this grid comes in. These numbers are creating the information from that light fixture so that we can truly understand if we have enough light on a site. Usually there's a requirement for parking and for sidewalks. We have to make sure that that there's a safe environment at night on a commercial property. And then you get into things like banks, which are even more intense because of the ATM situation. So, but that's what this is representing here is the light situation at night, giving us that information, feeding that information back to us to make sure that the areas in which we're worried about are properly lit. Soil erosion. So this is not the prettiest of plans, but it is required because this is a during construction plan, right? So what we need to clarify to the contractors is to put up things like silt fence. So whenever you're driving by a construction site, you'll see the black fence going around the outside of the site. What that's doing is that's helping stop the soil from eroding off the site. When you don't have the things like landscaping or grass, and you just have bare earth, as you get heavy rainfalls, that just washes away. Well, that'll wash into your inlets. It'll wash into the roadway. It'll wash into your neighboring site. You got to make sure all that stuff is under control. So not only that, if you're digging out for the foundation of this building, you'll have a stockpile of dirt. So again, when you drive by a construction site, you'll see a huge mound of dirt. You gotta have somewhere to put it temporarily so that the rest of the construction can keep going. And then as they need it, they'll use it and backfill it back into the rest of the site, or have to remove it off site depending on what situation you're in. But yeah, this plan is really to address the concerns during construction for the contractor so that they truly understand what those concerns are. Then we get into details. We utilize this, every project must have details, okay? We have an entire library set up for this. Our library goes as far as to understand what state you're in. Every state has their own details. Every county has their own details. And then Dynamic has our own details to supplement whenever those are not available. But each one of these details is a really clear picture for the contractor to understand how things should be put together, how they should be installed, what the sizes of certain things are, what the materials are, the density. A sidewalk detail will show you what the sub base is, and then the thickness of the concrete to be poured. A pedestrian sidewalk has different requirements than a maybe concrete that's being driven on. So these are all details that are required to make sure that not only us, but the contractor, we're all on the same page. It also helps them understand the budget for things. If you're doing an entire site of pavement at 6 inches, it's going to cost a lot different than if you did it at 8 inches. So that's what this information is portraying. And again, these go on every set. These are kind of like the notes. They're required on everything that we do.
From here, we'll get final comments with the project team to make sure that our plans are as best representative of what we have to do to construct them out in the field. And we will then take this and use those printing mechanisms that we have in our office to submit them to our townships. Once they go into the townships, we then need to go through the planning board process to grab our approvals so that we can get our permits to build. Here, we will use softwares like Photoshop to actually go into, use different textures to make a picture look a little prettier. Imagine someone that really has no clue what they're looking at on a black and white plan, like a neighbor for this project that's invited, because public are invited to these meetings. This gives them a better picture to show, oh, you know what, this represents pavement, this represents grass, this represents the building or concrete, or hey, this is where ADA parking is. And it allows the board members to also see how this project is going to look a little clearer.
Vehicle circulation, this is another program. This is an add-on to AutoCAD that we use. One of the items you need to make sure is that trucks can circulate through your site. If you cannot get a delivery vehicle to the building, you can't really get product there. If you can't get a fire truck through the site, again, you're creating a hazardous environment. So we need to make sure all that's accounted for. And our vehicle circulation program is very intense. It can create any kind of vehicle that you need. And it does a lot of extra items for us if we needed it. But for the most part, you're running delivery, fire, and those type of vehicles. In this case, it's a little hard to see, but we do have a vehicle truck that we needed to ensure was still capable of routing around to the back of the site, even after our proposed condition was implemented.
Most projects just need the rendering and vehicle circulations to really paint that picture for the board members. But sometimes we have to go into 3D rendering exhibits. Some of our clients require these to tell the story of the project. These are more handled by our senior level employees. This helps paint that full picture of what a project would look like before they're spending a lot of money on the construction of the project. Also, like I said, it helps the board members get a realistic picture of what this proposed project is going to look like. Of the images here, they're basically based on one big overall 3D model. Once that model is built, we can take pictures from any angle that a client wants to help portray that. We also do proposed photo inlay exhibits. If you remember that existing condition photo that kind of shows this kind of an eyesore of a building that to me looks like it used to be an old Burger King. Now we can use Photoshop and do a photo inlay using these 3D models to really give them what this project could look like in the proposed condition. We can also do 3D renderings and do it as a video. Here's one representing us driving down the road, looking out our window, showing that site.
So these are some of the tools that are, again, invested in by Dynamic and then by some of our employees. Tim Lynch of our office has dedicated himself to getting this stuff to where you see it today, which has been a long road for him, but he's as you can see, this stuff is phenomenal and it's great tools for the clients that do require it. You know, it'd be nice if these were required on every job. Unfortunately, they're not. But as you can see, whether it's a small site, large site, these are the results that you're getting from this type of software.
I know I speak for all attendees and hosts when I say that was super cool.
Like I said, I wish it was on every job. We'd be able to do a lot more of them, but when it is done, it is cool to look at.
Yep.
So a lot of all these different things allowed us to grab our approvals. And Tim also is an FAA licensed drone pilot that also can go out and do construction progress. He can also do it for surveys to help us paint a picture for a survey. But these are just some of the drone construction progress photos that we've taken for the site for our client, because the client was from out of state and wanted to see, you know, progress of what's going on. From there, here's our final built project that you can see. This is in Chester, New Jersey, just up north.
right by our Chester office, so nice and convenient for us. But yeah, so it's nice to be able to see these plans come to life and come to fruition, and then are active. We drive by sites all the time that you know, kids are in the car. We're like, hey, we did that Wawa. Kids like, neat. But nonetheless, it's nice to see that stuff come to life. So why do you want to work here? Well, we have a few things going on, right? We try to hold to our culture. That's something that, you know, as Steve stated, when they had started the company in Jeff's, in the basement, it was the two original directors and Steve working out of that basement. And the one thing that they wanted was to keep a culture alive and just have a culture in the environment. I came for my interview going on 16 years now, and the owner of the company came in board shorts, flip-flops, and a tank top. And that was my interview. So, I mean, obviously we've grown from there. That's something that we are allowed to do as much anymore, but we do try to hold to the original culture. You know, we want to make sure that people are enjoying themselves, whether it be while they're in their work environment or outside of the work environment, but still with our coworkers. So there's a lot of after work activities that happen throughout the year. COVID's obviously slowed us down a little bit, but nonetheless, you know, we've gone to hockey games. A couple people will grab some boards and go out surfing since we're right by the beach here. I believe our softball team and volleyball teams are starting back up again within the next few weeks. But then we go to different charity events like bowling events. We also have a Belmar parade right outside our Belmar office. Lock it down. It's a huge party in the parking lot as the parade's going by. It's basically hosted by all of us employees, and we're allowed to bring our families and our friends there and stuff, and you know, just be able to have a good time in that environment. But then in addition to that, these items are crucial for team building. Okay, we want to make sure that we're all jiving, we're all working together. I mean, we have to be together for a long time, all day, all week. It happens. So we want to make sure we're creating different team building environments and stuff. And that's not going to happen just in the office. We do need to expand outside of that to truly get that feel. Not only that, we want to create a challenging environment. Right. If you notice, none of our titles said, you know, drafter. We don't want people to just sit there and follow red lines and just do what they're told. We want people who come in, can think, and are part of the design. I mean, you guys are all in school now trying to learn different things. That tells me that you guys want to create something. You want to do something, and whatever that avenue actually is. For us here at Dynamic, we want to create that environment for individuals on the engineering side. And how do you create that challenging environment? How do you do that? How do you allow people to grow into those designers? And the only way to really do that is by training. So we do have extensive training that are specific to our environment, the dynamic environment. We want to make sure that everybody is truly understanding what the expectations are, but also know all the tools. A lot of what I teach is by what not to do, because I've done it. You know, we've been with the company since almost birth, and him birth. We were one of the first ones to definitely try different things and do different things. And a lot of it is what not to do. So I try to train with that, but then we implore our other staff members to help everybody else grow. Okay. Every time a new individual comes in, it's a team environment. It's a family environment to try to get that individual up and running and the most effective that they can be. It's really the only way to get people up, efficient, and effective as quick as we do.
A company called New Jersey Biz also does New Jersey Best Places to Work. We've been named one of the top places to work in New Jersey by New Jersey Biz for 9 straight years now. We are just about to go in to do our surveys. The program is basically a confidential confidentially collects data, allowing workers to comfortably share feedback about their employers and ranks them for all in the program. They then will hold a special event and count down to, you know, what place you made out of, I believe it was 50 or 100 best places to work in New Jersey.
So internship. So I believe you guys will have this in the package that's sent to you guys. I know it's a lot of data here, so we're not going to read through everything, but these are a lot of the items that we're trying to get individuals like yourself to be exposed to during your time here with us. You know, this is going to be a two-way relationship. We want to be able to expose individuals like yourself to as much as we can in our world, in our environment, to then in turn maybe you know, entice some individuals to lean towards the engineering world. You know, our company's growing, we're expanding, and we want to have well-minded and really talented individuals to come along with us. We do have 2 interns that I believe are active students, Alec and Philip, that I can probably confidently say will attest to most, if not all, of these items on this list that we want to get individuals exposed to. And this is just the beginning. This is just what we're trying to get an intern-based individual exposed to. From there, we do have our standard training regimen that we want to really expose everybody to and really let people get to that next level. You know, and it's really individual based as well. We want to make sure everybody's growing at their own proper pace. But again, all of this information is available, and all of this training is available to all interns.
Obviously, we're here because, you know, we have a partnership with Brookdale to try to bring in fall, spring, summer internships for our Lake Como office. This is why we're going through all this. CAD interns turn into those junior CAD designers. You know, hopefully this piques some of your interests and you'd like to come join us.
Yep, most of this is based out of our Lake Como. That's our headquarters, but it doesn't mean that our goal is always expand into other offices. So, you know, if you guys are a little bit closer to one of these other offices, you know, we're open to as many well-minded individuals as want to participate. Obviously, we have limited space in regards to that, but we still want to at least talk to you, communicate, receive resumes from you guys, and definitely coordinate some possibilities.
I'd like to thank Brookdale, their career leadership and transfer pathways, and all of you for joining us today. On the side over here, there is a QR code that will take you right to our careers page. This will also be in the handout that will be sent out to you guys after this presentation. And now we can open it up to any questions that you guys may have.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that presentation. We have many questions. Okay. So sit down, relax, and we'll try to get through them all. In the interest of time, I am going to, you could go back and see, you know, the individuals who asked the questions within the live transcript, Mike and Steve, but I am going to collapse some of these questions into a couple of different categories. So a lot of questions on interning. So I'm just gonna roll through a few of them, and hopefully we can address, you know, the rest of the questions about different sectors. So what level of CAD Autodesk experience are you looking for in an intern? What does dynamic look for in an intern in the hiring process? What does an average day look like for an intern? And I'll give you one more, and then we could take another subset of questions. Due to the pandemic, is work done mostly virtually or in person? Will an internship be at the office in the summer?
So all good questions. So let's start with the last one. We have multiple small offices. So right now we're not even in our Lake Como office, we're in our Belmar office, which is about a half-mile from us, you know. So what we've done is we've created safe environments for people to be in the office and participate in work, but not all be in one cohesive room, all on top of each other. So there are opportunities for that. We also provide headsets and cameras and software so that everybody can communicate, you know, with each other live like we're doing now, but not have to actually intermix with people. We also provide COVID testing weekly for our employees. So if you wish to get on that, you can get on that and be tested weekly. We ultimately want to be safe with everything that we're doing, so we do promote that. But on the other side, yes, everything will be in the office. Reason being is it's really what is required to fully have people get the experience that they need, the experience that we want to give them, but also the feedback and the quality of product that, you know, that we need to get in return as well. It is crucial to be done within the office. So as long as those safe environments can continue, then all that stuff will be done in there. As far as, you know, what an internship would look like, it's really up to the individual. We're very flexible. We obviously, you know, there are some minimum requirements as far as, you know, we want to make sure people are not just in the office for 4 hours a week. You're not going to learn much over that time, but you know, our preference maybe over the summer would be someone that is available for full time throughout the summer, knowing that they will return back to school again. But if somebody's in a part-time situation, that's okay too. You know, maybe we can get a couple part-time individuals together and kind of rotate a schedule. We're really not hard pressed on anything in regards to that, just as long as everybody is learning, moving forward, and you know, achieving the goals that we're trying to set. As far as minimum requirements, honestly, everybody at Brookdale meets that minimum requirement. You know, we've had individuals come in from Brookdale. We've talked to teachers, faculty. Again, we've been talking about this for over a year now. So we've had different meetings and stuff, but we understand. We took a tour of the school. We know that the individuals coming from there are headed in the right direction by all means, you know. So if you're on this presentation, you've met the qualifications.
That's fantastic. I don't see any student who has asked this, but I'm going to throw it out there because I know they're probably curious. Are the internships paid or unpaid?
Paid.
Paid internships.
Okay.
Yep. And if you are in that full-time status and you do end up working overtime, it is time and a half, so that's paid as well. But yes, the internships are paid, absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, a few more questions. We have a student asking, I'm going to get my Brookdale degree in architecture. Do you hire architects or is it only engineers? This person sounds like he can use some of his programming software knowledge like CAD and SketchUp. Is that something that you would be interested in the hiring process?
So I, believe it or not, have an associate's degree in architecture. And I changed from architecture to obviously civil engineering, you know, running the IT department and, you know, helping run the CAD department. You know, it's definitely not the same path that I started on when I was there. So, you know, having that architect knowledge of how a building works and stuff like that was perfect to understand, you know, what goes into putting that building on the ground and, you know, tying that into the land and all the utilities that go into that building. So it's definitely helpful. You know, we also know that there's interior designers there, you know, like CAD knowledge is CAD knowledge. Yep. And, you know, we're here as an internship to actually help train you guys to maybe learn something new that, you know, you're not exposed to on an everyday level. So
it's rare that people are targeting a engineering drafting position. It is rare. So we know that people come from all walks. Again, I was architectural based as well. I was in the same exact situation when I was in school, and the job that was available was engineering, so I took it. And to be honest with you, I loved every minute of it. I actually prefer to be an engineer over architectural, but I'm also 20 years deep now. So, but yeah, it just nobody's really set up perfectly in line to fulfill this position. So as long as you're a well-minded individual, you're ambitious, and you want to learn, yeah, absolutely. Architectural, interior design. Philip, who's in our office, he's actually in school, finishing up, I think, next month for an interior. He's going for interior design, and some of his knowledge that he's come in with was very impressive. So, you know, there's things that people can contribute that they don't even know yet, but they will be able to contribute.
Fantastic. Does Dynamic have a need for electrical engineers within their design process?
Currently, no. But we also didn't have the traffic and survey and all those departments. But as far as an electrical engineer, a licensed electrical engineer, there's currently no, that's not our market. But if you did an internship with us, maybe we can connect you to the right people. I don't know.
A question I have experience with, and I'm just gonna just say this out loud. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong because I'm not in this field. I have experience with ArcGIS. ARCGIS. Do you offer internship opportunities to work with this tool?
So we do utilize ArcGIS. We have an outside consultant that does a lot of our online ArcGIS. Doesn't mean that we can't maybe bring some of that stuff in-house as well. It's a little less than probably what a CAD internship would do. But from that side, you know, we are starting to dab into an ArcGIS connector with inside AutoCAD, since ArcGIS finally got their nice little relationship back together with Autodesk. They have a connector with inside there that we can pull GIS data directly from sources, online sources with that, and bring it into CAD. I know one of the things that we're in the process of right now is trying to improve our cover sheets with this, where we can actually pull in partial data and then label that partial data using Civil 3D, all coming through this ArcGIS connector. So there's always possibilities.
So our goal is never to just teach. Our goal is always to learn too. So somebody who's coming in with that type of experience, like Steve said, we have the software, but maybe we don't have somebody that's specializing in it. So, so yeah, I mean, definitely a benefit for sure.
Okay. What are some jobs that Dynamic or the engineering field has that may allow for transferable skills for someone coming from the automotive industry?
Automotive. Well, I mean, if you honestly, I would just relate that to constructability, because I know staring at a car, you probably, before you open that hood, or as soon as you open that hood, you need to visualize what your target is, what you're doing, and how that motor's put together, how it's all working, what the pieces are. Sometimes there's parts that are embedded inside that motor. You need to take 7 out before you can get to it. To me, someone like that has to be able to visualize that in their head before they really dive into it, so that they don't head in the wrong direction, right? You don't want to take 7 parts off in the wrong direction. So for me, when I'm doing a design, it's in my head before it's even out on paper. I'm running through it, I'm envisioning it, I'm understanding how this is going to work. And then as I go through and things maybe don't work out as good as they were in my head, make the alterations, but it's all being updated in my head, in my mind's eye. So I would say something like that from a technical standpoint might be good, but as far as, you know, apples to apples, I can't say that it's mainly software versus hands, you know what I mean?
I mean, one of the other things in there too is we have that vehicle circulation where, you know, it's involving steering angles and, you know, looking at diagrams of other vehicles, and then having to recreate those within the software so that you can actually drive them around sites. Because, you know, every township has their own different type of fire truck. And we find ourselves, you know, creating our own library of these fire trucks so that, you know, when we're going onto a site within their township, we need to use their fire truck, not a generic fire truck, because wheelbases, you know, how long the vehicle is and things like that. So, you know, just having some of that basic automotive knowledge, you know, assists with that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Great questions. I have one or two more. I think we have time for a couple more, if that's okay with you guys. I think I know the answer to this one. Would mechanical engineers be a fit for this type of internship? And then another one regarding internships, I just wanted to make sure you addressed for both interns and designers, how much of the work is done on site versus desk work?
So back to the, was it mechanical engineering?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, as far as an internship program goes, I think it's beneficial to everybody to really expose themselves to what they can. You know, again, I would say probably 30 or 40% of the people in our company did not seek out to do this, but ended up here. So, so really, I would implore that individual to, you know, apply, and maybe we can, you know, create a relationship there, and then let them decide at the end of it. You know, we're not getting married here. It's just you know, we're trying this on, and if it works out for the individual, great. If it works out for us, great. If it works out for both, even better.
I mean, I remember 9 years ago, we had someone that came in that had no AutoCAD knowledge whatsoever, but he knew how to bowl like crazy, and he was one heck of a bowler. And 9 years from then, you know, Mike sat down with him, you know, taught him, you know, how to use AutoCAD, and now he's one of our leading CAD managers. Yeah. So
it's everything's possible. And then I'm sorry, what was the second question?
It sounds like the student would like to know the amount of time you're in the field versus on site versus working at your desk.
Sure. So I would say this position is geared towards the desk. Back in the day, there would be more of a hybrid between maybe our survey department and being out in the field. That's what I did my first couple of years, was you know, flag man for the survey department, and being out there and understanding how the equipment works and all that stuff. Now, I didn't really get trained on it, but I was there to experience it. So, but now, since we've kind of split off, our survey department has specific internships available for that. So if somebody is interested in more of a field work, we do have internships on that. That's not a program that we run, but luckily we're pretty good friends with the guy who does. So, so if the, you know, and we're trying to promote dynamic, not specifically dynamic engineering. So, you know, so if more of a field type scenario works better for you, again, there's internships. I just got a young friend of mine a job over in the survey department as an intern. I've kind of fit his role, fit his personality, and he's been there a couple months now, and he's doing great. So
there's also probably internships with our dynamic earth, where you're in the field all the time doing soil testing and digging holes and getting dirty in the mud and stuff like that. So
Awesome, thank you. I have one question, and then I think we could probably wrap up if that's okay. It piqued my interest. What is endangered species services?
So, believe it or not, I remember that there was a site in Toms River where they wanted to build a super Walmart. It was going to be one of the biggest Walmarts around, because there's a lot of retirement communities down there. And a box turtle, which is an endangered species, was found on the site and basically halted all progress, all plans, all everything, because that endangered species lived in that area. They were not allowed to build into there. So any animal that's within an endangered species, it's one of the things that as engineers, we have to check to see if there's a habitat around in that area, because that's going to specifically restrict what can be done on that site, if anything.
Yeah, you don't think about that stuff, but when it comes up, it literally stopped Walmart in its tracks. So it's hard to do that, but a little turtle did.
That's amazing. Well, I cannot thank you guys enough. This is fantastic knowledge for our students who are attending right now, you will receive a smaller version of this presentation. Just one quick question: if they do want to apply for an internship, is the best thing for them to do is to scan the QR code to bring to your career page, or would you like them to email you and reach out directly?
I would say the career page.
Yeah, I would say the career page. Because
that's going to funnel directly to our HR department who will collect everything for us and make sure everything is organized. So
wonderful.
We'll just, we'll let them know that that this presentation was complete. Actually, Laura's on here now, so she'll know that as well. So so I would say that's the best route for them.
Wonderful.
Somewhere in there, maybe just put in there that, you're definitely a Brookdale student, things like that.
Yeah, that'll help us clarify.
They'll be submitting their resumes. If they're, we'll make sure that, students, you should indicate that you attended this panel discussion. And I think this has been amazing, and your opportunities sound so incredible. I wish I was an engineering major. So thank you very much. And we look forward to working with you guys again.
Great. Thank you, Jen, and thank you all students that attended.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a great day.
You too.